Hi everyone, yep, I'm Rich Gange, trainer and support engineer here at Magnolia for about 6 years now. This talk, like a lot of my other talks in past conferences, has always been inspired through support, and this is no different. So I want to start off with some terminology. The old days. The old days are anything before Magnolia 5.4. Why? There was a couple of key features in 5.4. The first one, 5.4.0, configuration by file, which is the genesis of light development. And then we saw 5.4.6 decorations. And this talk isn't about these features per se, it's about the side effect these features had on Bootstrap files and version handling. And to help us a little bit to understand what we're doing, I created a new character here at Magnolia, and I'm gonna unveil that now. And this is Boots, the XML Bootstrap cat. He comes from a long line of characters at Magnolia. Believe it or not, there's actually Cloudy. Do you know about Cloudy? He's the helpful cloud that walks you through Magnolia Cloud tutorials. Okay, I'm just joking. Let's get serious. So, using the Magnolia Freedom of Information Act, I was able to uncover this private but redacted support request. And we can see here that he's talking about the current version handler documentation. He wants to update his version handlers to YAML. But let's focus in on this question here. Are version handlers deprecated in general or still recommended in some situations? And also he mentions Magnolia 5.3. He hasn't seen anything about this topic since 5.3, the old days. So in order to answer his question, we must ask ourselves a question. Why do we need version handlers in the first place? So let me take you through a quick example of that. So let's say I have a sample module with a sample dialog, and it has one field, the title field, and then in version 1.1, I add a new field, the subtitle field. So how am I going to handle this, right? I'm going to export this subtitle field, and then I'm going to use a version handler to install it. So I have something that looks like this now. I have an XML from version 1.0, I have an XML from 1.1, and I have a version handler. What's that version handler doing? It's just simply saying, hey, if you're updating to 1.1, go ahead and bootstrap this file. Let's compare that to YAML. So let me do the same dialog in YAML and see what the effect was of that. So I have sample.yaml, here's version 1.0, here's version 1.1. I'm done. No version handlers, no bootstrap files, and also no unit testing of that version handler. So why do we bootstrap? What are some other reasons why we might bootstrap, and have those situations been taken care of as well? Well, we now know templates, dialogs, and apps, those are out. We don't have to bootstrap anymore. We don't have to version handle them anymore. We can simply code them in YAML. Another example, though, is we want to change configuration of another module, and this is what decorations do. So let's take the example of a custom action. So with a custom action, what am I going to do? I'm going to create an action configuration. Then I need to place the action in the action bar, so that's 2 bootstrap files. And then if I make any updates or changes to that action in the future, I'm also going to need a version handler for that. Or I could just create a single decoration file and I'm done. So again, no bootstrap files, no version handling, no unit testing of the version handler. Since it's the holiday season, I thought it would be a good time to take this opportunity to give you some decoration tips. Targeted decoration using the file name. Now, I like this feature, but I've been seeing it used kind of crazily. I mean, if I'm going to decorate the same app and I need to do a couple of decorations, I'd like to see that in one file rather than multiple targeted files, because it's easier for someone that's reviewing that code or coming behind you, I think, to understand what's going on. Just my opinion. Easy on the nesting of include files. I've seen something going on with including and including and including and including to it never ends. And we've had the same kind of thing going on with JCR extends. People would extend and extend and extend, and at some point it starts to lose all meaning. Also, make use of anchors and aliases. So if you have some configuration that's repeated over and over and over within the same file, go ahead and create an anchor out of it, and then you can refer to it later in the same file with an alias, reducing configuration. What if I still need to bootstrap? What do I do? Consider doing YAML bootstrap. Why? Well, it's a lot slimmer. Let's take a look at an example. So in 5.5.4, I believe we introduced YAML bootstrap. So here's an example from an old dialog, sdk.html. And we can see if we go to the bottom of this file, it's 217 lines of XML just to bootstrap this one dialog. If I change that to YAML, what is the effect of that? And the reason that this is happening, let me point out too as well, is because we have all this metadata in here. And this metadata really isn't necessary most of the time for the Bootstrap. So we can just get rid of it. And if we do that, we reduce this file to 22 lines of YAML. That's nearly 90% smaller. And it's easier to read, it's easier to maintain. If I'm in source control, I can diff and see the differences between versions very easily and read that quite easily as well. So what I'm going to say is bye to Bootstrap. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get this. Any questions on bye-bye Bootstrap?
Is there any possibility to handle like an ordering of nodes? Like if you, for example, bootstrap a filter and we need the version handler for this in order to order it into the right location. Any ideas about?
That is actually supported now. You basically, the node above the item, you need to have all the, you can reorder nodes, let's put it that way. You can't just take something and insert it in like a new location unless you include its parent, all the items on the parent level, and then you can reorder those. And that was not working before, and it is working since a few months.
Cool.
What about bootstrapping sample?
Well, bootstrapping sample using YAML, yeah, you could do that, of course. Any bootstrap can be replaced with a YAML equivalent bootstrap file now. That's the question. Well, we're not seeing them go away all together. Like I said, like at the end there, we still have to bootstrap sometimes, but what we're seeing is it's becoming less and less important. And I just saw a lot of confusion through my support channel with people like, hey, how do I handle this update from here to here now? And really, you don't have to do anything at all. Maybe that's not obvious, and that's why I wanted to do the talk.
Rich, are you going to do an on-conference session?
I might.
All right. So let's continue the conversation later. Okay. Thanks a lot, Rich.